Welcome to Luke Podcast.
Welcome to a new podcast where we will talk about how to transform your personal life and your English learning by adopting a growth mindset and the power of small daily habits. We designed this base so you can practice your English by listening to our conversation and reading along.
I am so excited for this topic, Liam. Lately, I have been feeling a bit stuck. I feel like if I do not spend 3 hours studying grammar, I am not really making progress. It is exhausting.
I completely understand, Maggie. Many people fall into that trap. They think that big changes require massive, heroic efforts. But the truth is actually much more interesting and honestly, a lot more relaxing. Have you ever heard of the 1% rule?
The 1% rule? Is that like a math thing? It sounds a bit technical for a Tuesday morning.
It's actually a very simple concept about consistency. Think of it this way. If you improve your English or any part of your life by just 1% every single day, you'll be 37 times better by the end of 1 year. Just 1%.
Wait, 37 times better? That sounds like a lot of growth for such a small effort. How is that even possible?
It's the power of compounding. Just like money in a bank account grows faster when you leave the interest inside, your brain works the same way. When you listen to a short conversation today, you learn a few sounds. Tomorrow, those sounds help you understand the new word. The day after, those words help you understand the whole sentence. You're not just adding knowledge, you're multiplying it.
That makes so much sense. So instead of trying to climb a whole mountain in one day, I just need to take one step. But sometimes I feel like those small steps do not count. Like if I only listen to a podcast for 10 minutes while I make coffee, is that really helping?
Absolutely. In fact, that's often better than a long study session. Think about a story I have from a friend of mine named Carlos. Carlos wanted to learn English, but he was a very busy doctor. He told me he had no time to study, so he decided to change his environment. He started listening to English conversations every morning while he brushed his teeth and drove to the hospital.
Just while brushing his teeth? That's only 2 or 3 minutes.
Exactly, but he did it every single day. He used what we call the silence period to his advantage. At first, it was just background noise, but because he was consistent, his brain started to recognize patterns. After a few months, he realized he could understand the nurses at the international clinic without even thinking about it. He did not study, he acquired the language through small daily doses of input.
That is amazing. It sounds like he was lowering his stress, too. I notice that when I'm stressed, my brain just shuts down and I can't remember a single word of English.
You're touching on a very important point, Maggie. Scientists call that the affective filter. When we're anxious or afraid of failing, our brain literally blocks the information. Small habits are great because they're easy, so they keep our stress low. You don't feel afraid of a 5-minute podcast, right?
No, not at all. 5 minutes feels like a piece of cake. But Liam, what happens when I make a mistake? Sometimes I try to speak and I use the wrong tense, and then I feel like I'm back at zero. My internal dialogue becomes very negative. I start saying things like, "Maggie, you are just not good at languages."
That's where the growth mindset comes in. A person with a fixed mindset believes that their intelligence is a set amount. They think, I am either good at English or I'm not. But a person with a growth mindset sees a mistake as a data point. It's just information.
So instead of saying, "I am bad at this," I should say something else?
Yes, try adding the word yet. Instead of saying, I don't understand this grammar, say, I don't understand this grammar yet. It's a tiny change in your internal dialogue, but it changes everything. It means you're on a journey, not at a dead end.
I love that. Yet, it feels like a very hopeful word. It makes me feel like my brain is a muscle that can grow.
It literally is. There's a concept called neuroplasticity. For a long time, people thought that adults couldn't learn languages well because their brains were finished growing. But we now know that's not true. Your brain is constantly reorganizing itself based on your experiences. When you listen to a conversation and you focus on the rhythm and the sounds, you're physically changing the connections in your brain.
So even if I'm an adult, I can still rewire my brain for English?
Of course, but you have to be careful with your environment. If you are surrounded by people who say that learning English is impossible or that you should be embarrassed by your accent, it's going to be very hard to maintain that growth mindset.
I see what you mean. Sometimes my friends make fun of me when I try to order food in English. It makes me want to stop trying.
That is a big obstacle. You need to curate your environment. This is not just about the people you talk to, but the things you consume. If you follow social media accounts that make you feel bad about your level, unfollow them. Surround yourself with voices that encourage you. Even if you don't have English-speaking friends nearby, you can create a digital environment. Podcasts, videos, and books are your community.
That is a great idea. I can choose who I spend time with in my ears. Liam, you also mentioned gratitude and visualization. How do those things help with English? It sounds a bit like magic.
It might sound like magic, but it's actually about focus. Every morning, try to find one thing you're grateful for in your learning journey. Maybe you understood a joke in a movie, or you remembered the word for butterfly. When you focus on what you can do, you feel more motivated to do more.
And visualization?
Close your eyes and imagine yourself having a fluent, comfortable conversation in English. Imagine the feeling of confidence in your chest. When you visualize success, you are preparing your brain to recognize the opportunities to reach that goal. You are training your mind to look for the 1% improvements.
I think I'm starting to get the full picture. It's not about one big explosion of learning. It's about a quiet, steady fire. But I have to ask, what if I don't feel motivated? Some days I just want to stay in bed and watch TV in my native language.
That is the most important part of our talk today, Maggie. Action is more important than motivation. Motivation is like a feeling. It comes and goes like the wind. But action is a choice. If you wait until you feel motivated to practice your English, you will only do it a few times a month.
So I should do it even when I don't want to?
Exactly. But because the habit is so small, remember the 1%, it's easy to do even when you're tired. It's much easier to commit to listening to one English song than to studying a textbook for an hour. If you start with the action, the motivation often follows.
It's like the engine of a car. You have to turn the key first to get the energy moving.
That is a perfect metaphor. Don't wait for the feeling. Just do the small, tiny habit. The results will come. Not today, not tomorrow, but they will show up. It's an inevitable result of the math we talked about earlier.
I feel much better now. I'm going to stop worrying about being perfect and just focus on being 1% better.
That's the spirit. Before we go, let's look at some of the key concepts we used today.
Good idea. There were 3 words or phrases that really stuck with me. The first one was growth mindset.
Right. A growth mindset is the belief that you can develop your abilities through hard work and dedication. For example, even though English is difficult, her growth mindset helped her stay positive and keep practicing every day.
I love that. The second one was consistency. You mentioned it a lot.
Consistency means doing something regularly so that it becomes a habit. Here's an example. His consistency in listening to English podcasts every morning was the key to his amazing progress over the year.
And the last one, which was my favorite, was the word yet.
Yes, the power of yet. It's used to show that something has not happened until now, but it will happen in the future. For example, I cannot speak English fluently yet, but I'm getting better every single day.
Thank you, Liam. This conversation was exactly what I needed. I'm ready to go find my 1% for today.
I'm glad to hear it, Maggie. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and that it helps you on your own path to transformation. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone. Keep practicing.